The Yemen branch of Al-Qaeda appeared to be behind the attack on the office of French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, which led to the death of 17 people. One of the suspected shooters made the claim to a French TV station before he was killed by police on Friday. Police continue to hunt a woman suspected of being involved in the attacks. Meanwhile, there have been 15 attacks on Muslims in a racist backlash hitting France since the Charlie Hebdo shootings. FBI and Justice Department prosecutors have recommended bringing criminal charges against former CIA chief David Petraeus. Petraeus served as commander of American forces in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He could face charges after providing classified information to a female Army Reserve officer who was writing his biography and with whom he was having an affair. Attorney General Eric Holder will now decide whether to indict Petraeus. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill on Friday to approve the controversial Keystone oil pipeline, despite a threat by the White House to veto legislation on the project. The vote took place shortly after a Nebraska court ruled in favor of the proposed pipeline. The pipeline is criticized by environmentalists who see it as a further sign of U.S. fossil fuel dependence. The Senate will debate a similar bill early next week. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro issued a warning on Friday of a threat by right-wing extremist opposition groups in the country. Maduro sounded the alarm during an international tour that has seen him sign significant economic accords with China. Extremist opposition activists sparked riots last year across Venezuela, killing 43 people. The Colombian government has announced it is willing to engage in peace talks with the National Liberation Army, or ELN, Colombia's second-largest guerrilla group. The move comes after the rebels said earlier this week they would consider a ceasefire if the government is willing to formalize peace talks. The government is already in a formal peace process with Colombia's largest guerrilla group, the FARC. The announcement has added to growing optimism in Colombia that a long-term peace agreement could soon end a decades-long armed conflict in the country.
An array of reactions have resulted from Thursday's conviction to 8 years in prison for former head of state Alberto Fujimori. He was found guilty of embezzling funds, using them to buy off newspaper headlines. Journalists like Ángel Páez, who were attacked in many of those fraudulent headlines, are grateful for the sentence.
It's a historic judgment because it sets a precedent. It's a watershed, a before and after. Since Fujimori was charged as an ex-president of the Republic, from now on any public official is going to have to think twice before using public funds to finance private publications.
Ronald Gamarra, the head prosecutor who successfully won a crimes against humanity case against Fujimori, argues that the sentence sets a very positive precedent for justice in Peru and abroad.
What occurred with Fujimori is truly something unusual in the history of Peru and in the world in general. People with power do not lose it when they leave the government, and they are usually not subject to any investigation, trial, or sanction. In the case of Fujimori, this was possible, among other reasons, because of the conviction of the relatives of the victims.
Other powerful Peruvian political figures have been able to avoid corruption trials, but the hope is that Fujimori's sentence will inhibit the extreme cases of corruption that mark his regime. Reporting from Lima, Peru for teleSUR, Rael Mora.
With the world's attention focusing on free speech after the attacks in Paris, a blogger was publicly flogged Friday in Saudi Arabia. Raif Badawi was flogged 50 times as part of a sentence of 1,000 lashes and 10 years in jail. Badawi founded the Free Saudi Liberals website that declared a day of liberalism in the kingdom in 2012. Saudi Arabia, a key Western ally in the Middle East, does not tolerate political dissent. Badawi is set to face weekly flogging. Saturday marks the beginning of the marathon section of the Dakar Off-Road Rally. The section is deemed the most difficult of Latin America's most grueling motor race. It begins with a 717-kilometer route from Chile into Bolivia, past the Salar de Uyuni, the largest salt flat in the world. The rally ends on January 17 in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Fact facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. teleSUR, wherever the news, you'll be there.